So there's quite a few things that can be quite surprising for a first-time home buyer. And if you're not prepared, some of these surprises can leave you scrambling for money, completely stressed out with the entire process, and wishing someone would have shared this information with you much sooner. So in this video, let's take a look at everything to expect so that nothing catches you off guard. And make sure you stay to the end, because one of the biggest surprises for first-time home buyers isn't the upfront cost. It's all the things that happen once you go under contract and your offer's accepted. I'm Gary with Homes Ever After. We help buyers and sellers all across the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Western Upstate included, to help to understand the process with a lot more clarity as we navigate this journey together. So a lot of first-time home buyers think the hardest part is just saving up for the down payment and maybe getting your credit in order. And of course, that stuff does matter. But what catches most people off guard is everything around it. The extra cost, the real monthly payment, the inspection issues, all the delays and negotiations, and just how emotional the overall process can feel. So let's start with the first big surprise: hidden upfront costs. A lot of buyers think if they have the down payment, then they're good to go. But that's not always the case, because the down payment is usually not the only thing you need. You may also have earnest money, inspection costs, appraisal fees, termination fees in some states, prepaid taxes, and of course insurance. So even if you're using a low down payment or a zero down payment program, that doesn't mean that you don't have to pay any fees at all. This is one of the biggest surprises for first-time home buyers. And here in South Carolina, there's many different programs that someone may be eligible for, from the SE housing, various zero down payment programs and assistance, hero programs, and so forth. Of course, the details of those programs can vary, so it's always a good idea to consult with your lender and figure out which solutions are going to be the best fit for you. The main point is pretty simple. Don't just prepare for the down payment. Prepare for the full amount that it may take you to get to the closing table. The monthly payment is also more than the buyers normally expect. A lot of buyers just focus on the price, and in a market where interest rates are fluctuating, most people really don't have an understanding of what that price point is going to cost on a monthly basis, which is really the most important thing. Most of the online calculators are really just principal and interest, and of course that's not all the payments made up of. It's going to include your escrows, which are your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. Sometimes there's PMI, and so when you factor all those things together, your monthly payment can run a little bit higher than what most people may anticipate. So when buyers are really trying to determine how much it is they can actually afford, a better way to look at it is in terms of monthly payment instead of just purchase price. This is especially important in markets like Greenville, Greer, Spartanburg, Anderson, and other areas across the upstate, where property taxes can range quite a bit. And depending on where you live, you could actually get more home for your money because of these other factors. In addition to the taxes and insurance, HOA fees can also play a role in your overall monthly payment. Inspections is also one of those things that can change the conversation pretty quickly. A lot of first-time home buyers think that once their offer accepted, they're pretty much done. But honestly, this is an entirely separate and new part of the process. The inspection is often when you learn the real story of the property. It's one thing to walk through it and everything's nice and clean and cosmetically it looks great. The home inspector's job is to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and see all the things that we can't. This can mean looking at everything from the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, the crawl space, foundation issues, termites, and all these other things that can come with home ownership. That of course doesn't mean necessarily that anything is going to be wrong with the house. This is part of the due diligence and something that you have to do in order to make sure that your best interest is being looked out for. And from my experience, it's not a question, will the home inspector find something? Because in most cases they will, even with new construction. The most important thing to look at is how the seller responds to the repairs that we request them to make on our behalf. And the inspection process isn't really there to scare you. It's really an added layer of insurance. It's peace of mind to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourselves into and there's no surprises. And it gives us an opportunity to be able to negotiate certain repairs up front with the seller on your behalf, but all those things of course are negotiable. And sometimes that can lead to repairs. Sometimes it can lead to credits being offered. Sometimes it just helps you to understand the true scope of the home and things that might need to be addressed later on during your time of home ownership. And sometimes the process usually takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it can seem a little bit messy overall. A lot of people picture the home buying process as far as getting pre-approved, finding a new home, writing an offer, pack up your things and move in. The truth is there's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes before you even get to that point. There's lender lender paperwork, there's the underwriting process, there's the appraisal, the title work, the inspections, the negotiations, document requests, delays, all kind of things can take place. So even when things are going well, it can sometimes still feel like a lot. And I think it's good to understand that sometimes it is a process. It is a slight journey before you get to the closing table. But that is your reward, is when you finally get those keys in hands and it's all worth it. This is why having the right team in your quarter matters. A good agent and lender is going to keep you informed, they're going to be in communication with you, and they're going to walk you through every single step of the process so you know exactly what to step from the beginning to the end. Sometimes the process can even be a little bit more emotional than some people expect. This is probably one of those things that people don't really talk about enough. Buying your first home, while it is very exciting, it can also be emotional. Sometimes you may see a house and it's love at first sight, only to find yourself in a bidding war where you lose out on this house to someone who was willing to pay a little bit more, or maybe their terms were just more attractive to the seller, and so you can get your hopes up just to kind of miss out. You feel defeated and discouraged when that happens. You could get things under contract even, and then all of a sudden the inspection reports come back and there's things on there that are just too scary, and you may choose to walk away, or the seller may not be willing to address those things and fix those items for you, and so we have to make a decision either to move forward or we terminate. Sometimes we make offers and they just don't get accepted. And again, that can be for a number of different reasons. And sometimes we second guess ourselves throughout the entire process, wondering if we're doing all the right things. And when I tell you this is normal, this is normal. Some great advice that I can share is preparedness is really going to help. Knowing this information up front to set the right expectations, your confidence is going to come from preparation, not just the pre-approval. When you know your budget, you know your must-haves, the deal breakers, the game plan, it's going to make the entire process feel a whole lot easier and a whole lot more seamless. So how do you prepare the right way? How do you avoid being caught off guard? A few things can really make a huge difference. Know your entire budget, not just your down payment. Keep some reserves aside if you can, so the down payment and all the additional fees don't wipe you out completely. Talk with the trusted lenders so you understand the programs you're qualified for, and get that monthly payment dialed in to a range that you're going to be comfortable with. Know all the must-have features and things that are important to you that you're not willing to bend on before you start touring properties. And work with the right team. People who actually explain the process, people who can guide you through it. They're there to answer your calls. They're there to make you feel more at ease. Find someone you can know and trust who has experience in this area. Because the truth is, most of the surprises that can occur can be handled and manageable when you know exactly what to expect. And having someone who's traveled that journey before and seen these things pop up from time to time can definitely help put your mind at ease. And here's why I said to stay to the end. One of the biggest surprises for a lot of buyers is realizing that getting your offer accepted is not the finish line. It is really just the beginning of the most important part. And there's a lot of hurdles that you may have to overcome. There's going to be things that you have to go through and a whole lot of stuff working behind the scenes. Once you're under contract, you're now working against deadlines. You have inspections, you have repairs to meet, you have appraisals, you have all these other things that are very important. Lender milestones, possible negotiations, signing all kind of documents. And there's a lot of stuff that has to come together before we get to the closing table and you get handed your new keys. So finding the right house and getting all excited is only a part of it. It's a very exciting part, but there's a whole lot more that all has to come together to get you into that new home. And going all the way from the accepted offer to the closing table is the goal that we strive for, and where the preparation and all this can really matter. So if you're planning to buy your first home, drop some comments down below if you have any questions. I'd love to help you guys get better prepared. And if you're buying in Greenville, Greer, Simpsonville, Spartanburg, Travelers Rest, or anywhere nearby, reach out to Homes Ever After. We'd love to hear from you and help you get into your new dream home.